Alright, today is just gorgeous, so I'm heading out on a ride. Destination Irrelevant. No idea where I'm gonna go, but go I will. Okay, gassed up, ready to go. I think I'm gonna head out to this pass trail thing that I remember doing years ago. See if I can find something interesting out there. But it does take me half an hour or so to drive there. So I'm certainly not going to record the whole thing because most of it's just long back dirt road. There's nothing interesting to see. Coming up on a section of road that I think of in my mind as Tumbleweed Alley. Look at all these tumbleweeds. I don't know if you can take in the majesty. I've never counted, but I suspect there are somewhere around 500 kabajillion tumbleweeds right there. And if I remember correctly, look at all these. If I remember correctly, up here a little ways farther is another spot where they congregate. But just all along this road, look at this tumbleweeds. I mean, there's so many tumbleweeds out where I live at my little corner of Utah. Oh yeah, here we go. Look at look at all these tumbleweeds. I mean, there's just so many tumbleweeds out in this part of the desert. And just sometimes, for whatever reason, maybe it's this fence here, but look at all these just kind of stuck right here. I had a cousin visit me from Seattle a few years ago, and while he was driving out to my house, he was all excited to tell me because he felt like it was in an old western or something. He said, "Oh, I'm going to drive out to your house. I actually saw a real tumbleweed blow in front of me." I thought, really? You just saw one, huh? That is odd. They just keep going and going and going. Alright, I'm coming up to the point where I usually go left. There's a place called Little Moab out in that direction. Lots of great trails, lots of fun riding. Easy to find stuff that's in my wheelhouse, not too technical, but still fun. But today I'm going to go right, which actually worked out well because this convoy of about 30 side-by-sides was going that way. But I'm going to go this way, which I have done before quite a while ago, and I can't really remember. I remember it being cool, but it's been long enough that I want to revisit it. Of course, this says no trespassing, but that's talking about the things that are off the road, not the actual road. And there are just hundreds of miles of OHV trails right up in these hills. There's a little map back there on the sign, and I have done very little of them. But I believe, if I remember correctly, up here just a bit, it starts to kind of cut through that mountain, and it'll be a little bit more interesting from a video standpoint. I hope. probably should be a little careful going around these blind corners, especially today. Not that I shouldn't always be careful going around blind corners, but it's a Saturday, gorgeous weather. There's probably going to be other people taking advantage of it as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if I see somebody winging around these corners. Speaking of the devil, there's somebody right there, but staying on their side of the road, which is nice. May as well take a minute and talk a little bit about my bike, because I love talking about my bike. Got 1,644 miles on it right this second. I'll probably do another review at 2,000, just because, you know, nice round number to do an updated review. But while I'm out here enjoying this trail, I may as well talk about it. So since my 1,000-mile review, I've done several mods. Some of them I talked about. Put these wraparound handguards on, which make me feel a little bit more secure about not breaking levers or my fingers if I crash into something. Biggest one I've done is these crash bars. I've got a video on those. Thankfully, so far I haven't actually had to use them for their intended purpose, knock on wood. But I don't notice them at all when I'm driving. I've been out a couple hundred miles at least on various trails, some of them a bit technical, and I don't notice any change in geometry at all. It feels just like nothing's there. Excuse me, dust in my throat. So that's great. Still haven't done anything to the exhaust or the ECU, don't plan on it. You know, I see a lot of comments, and everybody's got a different riding style, everybody's got different expectations. But I always smile to myself when people say, oh, I did this to my 300L or whatever, XT250 when I was riding that all the time. People say, oh, I changed the exhaust and it made it into a completely different bike. Or I changed the suspension and it made it into a completely different bike. And I always think to myself, I really like the bike. I don't want a different bike. Why is different better? And it is for some people. Absolutely, I'm sure. But it's always a give and take. Maybe not always, I don't know, maybe if I put different suspension on this, it would just be better all around. But I don't mind the suspension. Yes, I've bottomed out several times when I'm going over big things, fast usually, but for the other 99.9% of the time, it's a little bit bouncy sometimes, but I just kind of absorb the bounces with my legs, and it's not a big deal at all. So who knows? I'm never going to say never, but I just don't see me upgrading the suspension on the bike. And same with the exhaust. I mean, people say, oh, you know, it just takes away the twitchiness of the throttle. Well, I don't even notice the twitchiness of the throttle. I did when I first got it, but I just feather the clutch more, and I don't even think about it. So, or you just get way more consistent power through the spread, or I don't know. I just have no complaints about the power. I have no complaints about the gearing and how the power is allocated. I love the gas mileage it gets with the stock exhaust and ECU. So yeah, again, never going to say never, but I don't see me upgrading or changing the exhaust or the ECU, FI mapping, anything like that. I just really like the bike as it is. The mods I've done are, in my opinion, thoughtful for me. Put a rear rack on so I can haul things occasionally in my little bag. Protection mods, hand guards, crash bars. I added a USB power adapter that just plugs into the accessory port that's under this left panel on the Rallies. I'm not sure where it is on the 300Ls, but I know they have one. So I just double tape that. I should probably pay attention to what I'm doing since I'm right next to it. Kind of right next to a drop off. Anyway, yeah, so I added a USB power adapter that I plug this old phone that I have that I use for a GPS. I used to use my actual phone, that I use for a phone. I can throw that on a mount like this, but broke my camera, as a lot of people do. So I don't do that anymore. But this phone here is one that my son actually bought off of eBay a few years ago. It's an iPhone 8 Plus, and he got a really good deal, and it turned out to be too good to be true. It was network locked. Someone somewhere along the line had not paid it off. We tried to return it, didn't work. We couldn't pay it off, so it's just been a brick basically. But the GPS still works on it, so I downloaded a couple of map apps. This one's Gaia. It's good for off-road stuff. You can download the maps locally, and it works. So got that plugged into my USB adapter. Still got an open USB port on it as well, so I could plug in my phone that's in my pocket if I need to. Could recharge my Garmin InReach satellite locator here if I needed to recharge that. Yeah, so that is about it for mods that I can think of. And I kind of want to do more mods just because that's what we do, right? At least I do. It's like when I'm not writing, I'm thinking about it and what can I do to make it better, but really, I'm just... At this point, I think it would be wasting money. At some point, I may put a metal bash plate on, skid guard, whatever you call it. I don't know. I just haven't had a need yet. I've hit that plastic one pretty hard a few times, and it's not chipped, it's not cracked. So, I don't know. I've never actually heard of anybody breaking it. If somebody knows that happening, let me know. That would be good to know. But I think mostly people upgrade it because they think they need to, and I'm starting to suspect that I don't need to upgrade the skid plate on the Rally. I mean, yes, it looks kind of cheap plastic, but so far it's held up. And granted, the one time that it doesn't is going to be the time that it costs me an engine, that type of thing. But I don't think so. Well, here we are at the end of this road. Does this connect to that actual highway over there? I don't know. It's a pretty drive around that pass. Oh, heated grips. That's the other thing that I absolutely love. Highly recommend if you ever want to do riding in the cold or even the cool It's a world of difference. I love these. Oxford premium grips is the ones I got. Adventure. I have a video on those if you want more details. Let's see. I think I'm going to go straight. I don't think I've ever gone this way. I think I've been out there before. I don't think I've ever been up this way, so we'll see what it's like. Giant canyon carved down the middle of the road, so obviously not as well of a traveled road as the one I just came off of. If it ever gets too sketchy, I just hop out onto that highway, but this is definitely not too sketchy. Choice, I always like the off-road versus on-road. Not just because it's funner to ride, but I just don't trust people these days with their phones and attention levels. So over the course of the winter, I did notice my gas mileage average dropping a little bit. I was at right as it started getting cold at the end of the fall last year. I was right at about 76 miles per gallon average. Now I'm at 70. Well, yesterday I was at 73 before about a 70 mile ride. Now I'm to 73.6. So I suspect that these get slightly better gas mileage in warmer weather. Could also be that I just changed my air filter. I don't know how much that affects it, but it's got to have some effect, right? But anyway, anything above 70 is magnificent, especially with gas prices the way they are right now. And I always put ethanol-free gas in it, just because it's what I do with all my small engines, but I probably don't need to because I drive this enough that it never sits. I like the ethanol-free because it doesn't cause as much condensation as gas with ethanol does, so it's better when it just sits there. But if you're going through it every week or two, imagine it making any difference at all. Well, that's the end of that. Guess I'll cut out over here and head up on this highway a little bit. This goes out to a town called Delta, if I'm not mistaken, with where I am right now. Juab County, Eureka. I have been to Eureka. Cool car. Lots of cool cars right there. Cute little town to drive through. Eureka! So I assume that there is gold somewhere in here. Silver, something. Maybe just the hope of it by the early settlers of this town. It's a cool old house. Here. Gasol. That is a horrible name. Mining museum, so yes. Clearly there were... Oh, Silver Club. Must have been a silver mine out here. I'll have to look it up when I go. Did or do they mine in Eureka? St. Patrick Catholic Church. Lots of churches for a little town. I saw the obligatory LDS church, some other Christian church, and then a Catholic church. Can't be more than a few hundred people here. Oh, I could get down to it right there. Well, that was a fun little road. Should have gone farther down to that other one. I think I'm going to use this opportunity to turn around. Do have to get home at some point today. Hopefully I can get back the way I came from this little side road. That looks kind of cool over there. Ooh, pay attention, Tyler. This is much more entertaining than that asphalt road up there that I drove up. Ooh. Turns into asphalt here. Kind of a narrow road. I hope it's one that I'm allowed to be on, because this seems more like a walking path to me. House for sale. Wonder what home prices are like in Eureka, Utah. The real question is, am I going to remember where to turn off? I don't know. I remember I hadn't gone too far when I saw all these cool old cars. So, is that it? I think that might have been it right there. Ah! What's this? I'm gonna go check this out. Look at all this snow. Definitely don't feel like there should be snow right now. I just feel awesome. Perfect weather. So another mod that I've been thinking about is the tail tidy thing that everybody does. And I was always planning on doing that because I don't like the look of the big ugly tail thing. But I've been having some second thoughts, not from an aesthetic standpoint, but from a functionality standpoint. There's just been several times over this last few months that I've been riding this thing that I've gone through big sloshes of mud, and when I get home it's just caked on under that piece that I'm thinking about taking off, and I know that if it didn't land in the fender it would land on me or the people behind me. And look, I can't believe how much snow is here. So I don't know, I may leave that big ugly thing on the back of this just from a utilitarian standpoint. I think it might be a good idea. I mean, I'd save a little bit of weight taking it off, but I don't think it's enough to matter, especially when I'm throwing things like 12-pound crash bars on. You know, half a pound of plastic back there isn't going to really make or break anything. This is a cool road. I've never been here. Look at that view. I wonder what this road is called. I'll have to check my satellite tracker. This pings through the satellite my location every 10 minutes, which is kind of nice because I can go into my account and see where I've been. I mean, obviously the main purpose I got this in reach is because I'm often off the grid of cellular networks, and so, and there's all sorts of, can't go that way, and I'm usually by myself, so makes me feel better, makes my wife feel better knowing that this is sending a location point every 10 minutes that she can look at if I just disappeared. And I mean, obviously if I'm in real trouble and functional, I can hit the SOS button on this and the cavalry will come running, so to speak. But the problem with systems that only have the SOS thing is if I fall off a cliff and I'm unconscious or can't get to the button, it doesn't do a lot of good. But this sends my location every 10 minutes, and so if I disappeared, she'd have a good idea at least where I was within 10 minutes of where I fell down or whatever happened. Honestly, this is what I love about dual sport riding, is just not so much the motocross trail riding, technical stuff, but there's just miles and miles of roads out here in the desert that need exploring. Just about every time I come out, I find some new offshoot that I want to go check out. Is this part of an old mine? Looks like. What does this sign say? Private property, no trespassing. I'm assuming that means up on the mountain going into this mine. They didn't have to worry, I wasn't going inside of that. The road is getting narrower, which means I gotta be extra careful, because if a car comes winging around here, there's not room for two of us. Got to be something back here that's a pretty well maintained road. with a truck. Little old mining things all gated off. Look at that. Oh wow. Some sort of memorial there. As I'd like to just follow it until it ends, or at least see where it pops out. I do need to get home at some point. Oh, it looks like maybe it just loops all the way around. I take it back. I'm gonna keep going. Somebody's out here with a horse. Alright, is this the main road? If so, I'm going to go left and see if I can... But this is why I love the giant tank on the 300L rally. Filled up when I left, an hour and a half ago or so. I've driven, I want to say, I don't know, 45 miles. And hasn't even gone down a tick. Smaller bikes, I was always, or bikes with smaller tanks, I was always worried. Okay, I think this is the main road. I'm guessing. No, I don't know. Anyway, I was always nervous on bikes with smaller gas capacity that I was going to, you know, go off exploring and then get stuck somewhere. Okay. I believe that's where I headed off. Yes, that's where I headed off, so that means this is where I came in. Well, we'll find out. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I have about the worst sense of direction that you will ever hear of. So it's a good thing I like to explore new places, because I often find myself in new places unintentionally. But luckily with technology these days, it turns into an adventure, not a dire situation usually. Woohoo! Found my way back. Holmansville Pass Road. Didn't know it was called that. Definitely won't remember it. Holmansville. Oh no, okay. Saw that gate and I was like, nope, I chose poorly. Let's see, what else about my bike? What other mods are there that people do that I'm considering or not considering? You know, I do wish, I don't understand the logic behind, you know, the Asian versions of the Rally, well, not just the Rally, the CRF300L have the LED indicator lights that look way cooler, and they're LED. I just can't imagine it being that much cheaper to produce these old style indicator lights. On the Rally, even in the United States, the headlight is LED. I wish they would have done those LED more slim lights for the indicators, but I do like the look of them a lot better. Man, look at that view. But I don't think I'll replace them until or if they break. Because they probably would break as soon as I replaced them. Yeah, it's gorgeous out here. And out here in the high desert hills, it's easy to succumb to the illusion that I'm the only person on the planet. Maybe not quite so much today when other people are out enjoying the nice weather as well, but some days I come out riding around and I don't see a soul for hours, which is awesome to me. Another thing that maybe I'll mention is I've never actually turned the ABS off. Just haven't needed to. Like even on the dirt, you know, I don't have the technique to incorporate skids into my riding style. So anyway, just have never needed it. Never noticed me not being able to stop fast enough because of the ABS on blue stuff. And again, I don't ride super technical stuff, or at least I try to avoid it. Try to keep it easy to middle grade riding style. So maybe if I rode more aggressively, I would need to turn off the ABS to, I don't know, navigate tricky spots. But again, I don't have that skill set to lock up my rear wheel when I needed to anyway, so I just leave the ABS on all the time. And I mentioned it in one of my other videos, but I also have not been airing down my tires. And again, I'm riding stuff that's like this is practically pavement. I mean, it's dirt, but it's packed down, very well-maintained road. So if I was crawling over a lot of technical things, doing tons of, I don't know, gravel, sand, I don't know where you need the aired down tires most, but I used to do it, but then I stopped and I haven't noticed any difference. So, and the stock tires have been fine for me too. I mean, they seem like they're getting a little bit worn, but I think we still got 1,000 miles left in them, maybe. But as I've said before, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I don't have a ton of experience. I've been riding for just coming up on 3 years now. Don't do very hard stuff. I just like to get out and explore. So take what makes sense to you and ditch what doesn't. Side-by-sides are a lot of fun. Caught up with another biker. I just bought a little bike, a little off-road. It's a Honda CRF300L, big wheel. I teach my daughters how to ride. They're both very little people, 15 and 22, so not particularly young, but just little. Wanted to get him something that was easy to pick up, easy to touch the ground. My 15-year-old, she's the only one who lives with me, and she's been out a couple times. Just bought it last week. She's picking it up quick. Looks like I have a dual sport behind me. I can see a headlight. This kid's also filming. Let's see a camera on the side of his helmet. Like this one's got a camera too. What a funny world we live in. I've got a camera, they've all got cameras. Well, and I'm back to the turnoff to get back home. And this is a long, straight, boring to look at road, so I'm going to end here. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you feel like it, and we'll see you later.